Hey everyone, welcome back to Rest In Phame. Today we're doing something a little different. Instead of focusing on just one cemetery, we're taking you to 4 different cemeteries across Southern California. We've been to a lot of places over the past year, but some of the stories that stuck with us the most are the ones where people were taken way too young. So in this one, we're remembering 5 lives that ended far too soon, sharing their stories and showing you where they rest. We're going to start right here at Pierce Brothers Westwood Village Memorial Park. We're walking up to the crypt of Heather O'Rourke. She was the iconic voice in the movie Poltergeist with her line, "They're here." Heather O'Rourke became one of the most recognizable child actors of the 1980s after starring in all 3 Poltergeist films. She was just 6 years old when Steven Spielberg discovered her and cast her as Carol Ann, a role she will forever be known for. In early 1988, Heather suddenly got very sick. Doctors had diagnosed her with Crohn's disease the year before, but what she actually had was a congenital intestinal blockage, something she'd been born with and no one knew about. When it finally ruptured, it caused a severe infection that led to septic shock and cardiac arrest. She was only 12 years old. Her death shocked everyone. She was at the center of a major movie franchise and had her whole life ahead of her. Standing here, it's hard not to think about how fast things can change and how fragile life really is, even for someone so young.
After leaving Westwood, we headed across town to Hollywood Forever, a place filled with a ton of history. Musicians, actors, old Hollywood names, but it's also where a lot of modern stars rest too. Back here by the Lake of Legends, we find Anton Yelchin. You probably remember hearing about what happened to him. It was unreal.
Born in Russia and raised in Los Angeles, he found his calling early, appearing in ER and Law and Order, before landing his breakout role as Bird Huff on Showtime's Huff. From there, he became a rising star, starring in Hearts in Atlantis, Alpha Dog, and winning over hearts as Chekhov in Star Trek. His charm, humility, and quiet brilliance made him one of the most promising actors of his generation.
The LAPD says he was pinned against his mailbox and fenced by his SUV found in neutral. A 2015 Jeep Grand Cherokee like this, already part of a recall involving 1 million vehicles after hundreds of drivers complained of trouble shifting, even watching their SUVs roll away.
He was only 27 years old. Anton Yelchin's life was brief, but his impact was very lasting. A reminder of how fragile even the biggest stars can be. We're leaving the storied grounds of Hollywood Forever, heading west now, past the studios and city streets to the peaceful greens of Hillside Memorial Park in Culver City, a serene place where more Hollywood greats find their final curtain call, including a life silenced mid-scene.
All right, everybody, here we are at the gravesite of Vic Morrow. So Vic Morrow was actually killed in a freak accident on a movie set July 23rd, 1982. He was doing a scene for the movie The Twilight Zone. Jonathan Landis was the director, and he was walking with these 2 kids across the pond. There was a bunch of explosions. It was like a war scene. They were trying to escape, and the helicopter came crashing down. So what happened was the helicopter pilot got thrown off from an explosion, and he went down right on top of Morrow and the 2 kids. He played Sergeant Saunders in the show called Combat, and he did a bunch of other movies, but unfortunately, Twilight Zone, he got cast for that, and it was just a horrible thing that happened to him and those 2 babies. So Rest in peace, Vic.
As we leave Hillside Memorial Park in Culver City behind, we head north to San Fernando Mission Cemetery, where the sprawling grounds and quiet corners hold decades of Hollywood history. It's calm here, the kind of peace that feels timeless. And among these sunlit paths rests another life taken far too soon. Ritchie Valens.
The one and only Ritchie Valens, La Bamba, Donna, Come On, Let's Go. Ritchie Valens died when he was only 17 years old on February 3rd, 1959, known as the day the music died. He was chartering a plane with Buddy Holly and J.P. Richardson, which is the Big Bopper, pilot Roger Peterson, and they unfortunately had a crash about 20 minutes after takeoff, I believe it was, and the next morning they were found in a field outside of Clear Lake. Just a sad end for such a young, talented guy like this. He had a lot more music and a lot more stories to tell, so it's just heartbreaking.
It really is.
What a legend, though. I mean,
Beautiful flowers.
he inspired
right
he changed a lot from his music, you know. He inspired a lot with his music, and it still lives on to this day. And we'll always be grateful for what he left us.
there. Thank you, Ritchie Valens.
Thank you, Ritchie Valens.
Before we wrap up this journey, we've got one more stop, a bonus cemetery worth every mile. Heading south now towards Forest Lawn Hollywood Hills, where the skyline meets the stars, rests a man who changed his community, his culture, and the sound of a genre. The heart of Crenshaw, whose legacy means something deeper. Resting in an unmarked grave, Nipsey Hussle. Born Ermias Joseph Asghedom, the world knew him as Nipsey Hussle. Born and raised in Crenshaw, Nipsey was a rapper and he encapsulated a movement. He invested in his neighborhood, opened businesses, created jobs, and built hope where the system had long turned its back. He preached ownership, community, and self-empowerment, and he lived it every day. On March 31st, 2019, outside his Marathon clothing store, the same block he fought to uplift, Nipsey was shot and killed at just 33 years old.
Developing news out of Los Angeles. Grammy-nominated rapper Nipsey Hussle was shot and killed outside his clothing store while he and two others stood outside. Paramedics rushed the 33-year-old rapper to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. The shooter fleeing the scene, spurring a widespread manhunt. A large crowd of fans gathered at the store to mourn his death. Hussle was known for his work in LA fighting for children and inspiring African Americans to invest in their own communities, even building a STEM center in Crenshaw. He was scheduled to meet today with the LAPD to discuss ways to stop gang violence.
His death shook Los Angeles, but his message never died. It lives on in the streets he loved, in the people he inspired, and in the legacy he built with every beat, every word, and every act of giving. We've walked through some of Los Angeles' most storied resting places, from Westwood to Hollywood Forever, Hillside Memorial Park, San Fernando Mission, and Forest Lawn Hollywood Hills. Each cemetery holds more than names carved in stone. They hold stories. Stories of talent, of dreams, of lives that burned bright and ended far too soon. All this talent from different worlds, different eras, but the same echo of loss. What could have been and what was left behind. These aren't just tragedies, they're reminders that greatness isn't measured by how long a person lives, but how deeply they left their mark. To those gone too soon, you will always rest in fame. For more journeys through the lives, legends, and legacies that shaped Hollywood, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.